Hello and welcome back to another episode of Michael Tries. This time it's another cooking video. I teased it at the end of the last video, but I make a pretty mean baked mac and cheese, and since I ended up making it a few weeks ago, I figured I'd document the process. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this isn't entirely my own recipe, since I found the base for it on allrecipes.com, from a recipe by a lady named Judy, although I did make some modifications to it, as I'll go into later. Let's start. Here's the original recipe, and here is my version. As you can see, the most major modification was I got rid of that paprika, mainly because I didn't have any when I first made it, and because I also don't think it's necessary. And before you get all, oh, the white guy doesn't season his food, hardy har har, one, the cheese is flavorful enough that I don't think it needs it, and two, the breadcrumbs are seasoned, so it's sort of just a difference of where the seasoning is. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the steps. Step 1. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. Baking is the last step, but trust me, you don't want to finish all the other steps and realize that your oven isn't preheated. I did that the first time, and it is a tad annoying. Step 2. Gather your ingredients. For this recipe, you'll need 1 quart or 4 cups of milk. You can use any kind, but whole milk is typically better for cooking, I've heard. 2 sticks of butter, technically 1.5, but we'll get to that later. 1-ish cups of Pecorino Romano seasoned breadcrumbs, but that's really up to personal opinion on how much breadcrumbs that you want. 3 types of cheese. My personal mixture is an 8-ounce bag of shredded cheddar, an 8-ounce bag of shredded Mexican or taco cheese, and about a cup or so of shredded Parmesan cheese. You could add more or less, this is just the mixture I use. 3 tablespoons of flour, and of course a box of your favorite pasta. The original recipe calls for elbows, but I've done it with penne and rigatoni. Really, that's up to personal preference. I've wanted to try it with farfalle, but haven't had the chance yet. Step 3. Boil the pasta. Duh. I really shouldn't have to go into detail on this. Fill your pot with water, add some salt to the water, cover it, let it get up to a rolling boil, and dump the pasta in, cooking it to whatever time the box states, usually 7 to 8 minutes, or until the pasta is soft yet firm. Remember, the pasta is being baked and it's going to be cooked in the cheese sauce a little bit, so you don't want it too mushy before it goes into the oven. Step 4. Making the cheese sauce. Start out by putting your first stick of butter chopped up into pieces into your favorite pot or saucepan and melt it over a medium heat. Once it's melted, stir in your flour to create a roux, then stir in your milk. Once the milk is added, stir it a bit more and then add your cheeses, switching it over to a low heat and continue stirring intermittently until the cheese is melted and the sauce is slightly thick. Step 5. Browning the breadcrumbs. By this point, the pasta should be nearly finished, so add half a stick of butter chopped up into a skillet or pot and melt it the same way as you did for the cheese sauce, but instead of flour, add your breadcrumbs and brown them. I'm still working on the right ratio of butter to breadcrumbs, but I feel like the whole stick is overkill, so the most I'd go is 3/4 of the stick. Step 6. Mixing it all together. Once your pasta is boiling, drain it in a colander and put the macaroni into a casserole dish or aluminum tray, depending on if you're planning on doing the dishes later. Then add your cheese sauce and stir it in nicely. Once it's stirred in, spread your breadcrumbs on top. I'm leaving a spot open because some people in my house don't like breadcrumbs, but you can go ahead and cover your macaroni with it entirely if you have no such naysayers in your household. Step 7. Pop it in the oven for 30 minutes. Use this time to relax because cooking is hard work. You've earned a break. And there you have it, a baked mac and cheese that's not only easy to make, but delicious as well. The fun thing about cooking is that it's not an exact science. You can modify it however you'd like. This was just how I typically prepare it when I'm not being experimental. I've subbed in mozzarella for Parmesan, changed up the pasta, and once even used panko for the breadcrumbs, so the possibilities are literally endless. I hope you enjoy it if you end up making it, and maybe I'll do some more cooking videos in the future. Although, since I've done this and the pizza, those are really my 2 main dishes, so I just have to figure out other things to do. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on the channel. And if you'd like, you can also find my videos on any of these fine websites. And if you want to help out the channel, you can support us on Patreon. See you next time.